You have found Authentic Business Adventures, the business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. Past episodes of the Authentic Business Adventures program can be found in the podcast link at drawincustomers.com. We are coming to you from the Sun Prairie Community Radio Studios, underwritten by Bank of Sun Prairie. My name is James Kademan, entrepreneur, author, speaker, and helpful coach to small business owners across the country. Today, we're welcoming / preparing to learn from Courtney Dane, the owner of Monarch Media Designs. Courtney, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being on here. I'm excited to talk to you because, well, two reasons. One, you lettered up our truck, which is cool for Calls on Call. And two, I really don't know your story, even though I vaguely know you.
Yeah.
You've been around forever, it seems like.
Long time. 20 years I've been doing the
20? Holy cow. I'd high five you, but everybody's afraid of getting ill. So.
Yeah.
We'll just air high five.
We'll air high five.
So 20 years. That means that 20 years ago you decided, screw this, whatever I was doing before, I'm going to start my own business.
Yep. It kind of started when I was a straight A student in high school, and I was kind of like that 4-year college. Everybody expected me to go a certain way in life, and so I did go to the University of Wisconsin momentarily for about a semester, and it just wasn't. I just wasn't feeling like that was my where I was supposed to be in life. Even though you don't know where you're supposed to be in life when you're 18, but just something just didn't have me in a place of joy of where I was heading in life, and I kind of ended up calling my dad, and I'm like, Dad, hey, I know I'm in college and I'm in these dorms and everything, but it's just I don't want to waste money and go for 4 years of not knowing what I wanted to do. I'm kind of one of those, like, I want to go after something that where I have an attainable goal. So I actually dropped out of college momentarily, and I was just like, what do I want to do with my life? I just had no idea, but I knew that I didn't want to just be like taking classes for no reason. So I ended up back then in, I think it was like 2000, the school Madison Media Institute. Which now has just recently closed, but back then it was just opening, and it was down in the basement of an office building, and they just had a couple different areas. They did multimedia, they did radio broadcasting and something else, and a lot of like radio people here in Madison actually went to that school too. Way back in the day, a lot of us got our start because it was just really artsy and open, and I took night classes and worked during the day. So back up a little bit is that I saw this school had opened, and I thought, what'd be fun is to make cartoons. Like, what if I could make cartoons and I could learn this animation stuff, because I can't draw a stick figure. I'm not like a very like a drawing person, so I didn't see myself being design part of it. So I go in and I take this test to get into this school, and I'm like, oh, this animation is going to be so cool. And
You're talking about computer animation. Okay, like the Toy Story.
Yep. And back then was when Toy Story and a lot of those, like the Ants movie and a lot of those came out way back then, and it was a big time.
Just paradigm breaking.
So I went to about with the multimedia program, you would do it was everything. It was the animation, but you also did web design, graphic design.
Oh, wow.
We did 3D modeling. So we learned like Illustrator and Photoshop and all the different like so it was like a lot of multimedia. And what I found was that I just hated animation. I was like, you mean to tell me it's 10,000, little tiny clips make up 1 second or whatever it was? And I was like, oh man, like I thought I had patience, but I don't have that kind of patience. And so then I started these design classes where they're like, here, learn this design program, and we want you to design a CD or design this or design a website, and it just flowed so naturally.
Nice.
It was like, is this what I was meant to do? Because I can't draw a stick figure, but I can design on the computer so fast and good, and I was getting stuff done, and I was just really having fun, and that's what was important to me, like knowing how my personality is. I'm a total go with the flow person, and I just, something feels good, I'm gonna go for it. Something feels bad, I'm like coming back, and I just loved graphic design, and I was in a class with all guys. There was just 6 of us in the night class, and I was the only girl, and but I always just like, I would always tell the guys, someday you guys are going to be working for me, because I always just wanted to be like a natural born leader. And,
sure.
And then I had a teacher while I was going there that told us all, like, if you ever wanted to be a business owner, then in the future that you got to have that mentality now. And he was like, so, if any of you are thinking about having your own business in the future, I want you to come up with a name. It wasn't an assignment or anything, but he was like, pick your name now and get your www, back then when you didn't have to put in like 20 different ones to find when those open.
Right.
And so I was like, what should be the name of my company? And my first company name was going to be Destiny Productions.
Oh,
and
nice.
I'm like, now when I think about it, I'm like, whew, thank God I saved myself from that one. But then I love butterflies, and I love just the representation of a butterfly and the transformation. And so I was like, what about Monarch? What about Monarch Media or Monarch Designs? And so even 20 years ago, like out in California, though, there was a Monarch Media company and there was a Monarch Designs company.
Okay.
And so I was like, what about Monarch Media Designs? And so like in 2000 is when I reserved that domain name. And I didn't really even have a company. I mean, I just did it while I was in school because friends started here, oh, you do design, could you just do my business cards, and can you do this? And I started off doing little stuff. And so once I graduated, I got a job at a place that was like a convenience store design company. Like
Convenience store design company?
Basically, like,
I want to big gulp and a logo, right?
Yeah, and somebody comes to them and they'll say, oh, hey, we're building this Quick Trip or whatever. Let's say it's one of their customers. So these guys would go in and they would design the whole inside. It's like the guys that design the inside, like where's the coffee maker?
Oh, really?
And where's the, where are the bakery cases going to go? Where's the cigarette racks going to go? I mean, everything that you don't realize goes into that. And I was just their little grunt girl. So I was like, Courtney, we need you to make a sales book, or we need you to do this. And so I was just kind of the bottom of the totem pole. But during that time, I was starting to do the design. And so they ended up getting bought out by a corporate company. And since I was the lowest denominator, I was only like 19 or something, they had to let me go. So I'm like, oh, man. I'm like, what am I going to do now? And one of the guys was like, the sign company that helps us make our signage that goes inside of these convenience stores, from what I hear, is hiring, and they're trying to find a graphic designer. So you should just go check that out. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. So oddly enough, like, here we are on Linnerud Drive in Sun Prairie, and that is where I got my start in the sign business.
Oh, really?
There was a company that was owned here in Sun Prairie called Sign 11 20 years ago, and it was one of the biggest companies here in the whole Madison area doing what we were doing.
Are they still around?
No. That has since closed down.
Okay.
The owners, he's no longer with us anymore.
Gotcha.
But so like I just started working there, and just as like could barely even put one sticker on a car, and but after 4 or 5 years I worked my way up to being a manager, and I just have that leader personality, and so I got to know a lot of like big time people around Madison. My first wrap I ever had to design was my second week of working at the company.
Really?
And my boss said, Pepsi needs this limo wrapped, and they need it wrapped right away, and I don't know how to do it. I need you to figure out how to design this thing so that it's going to come out the right size. And then we had to send it out to a printer, so we couldn't even print it. Like, if we messed something up, we would have to pay. And so he was like, I'm just the new person. He's like, figure out how to do this. Just go measure it and set up the file. And I was like, okay. And
ain't no thing.
So I just had to figure it out. So I basically self-taught myself how to design. And then, pretty soon I was doing printing. And then, at some point. So after about 5 or 6 years of working for that company, my boss kind of wasn't taking care of the company as much as they should, and kind of bills started stacking up and things started happening where I had to get out of there because I had to like figure out something else, and I wasn't happy. And so I got this like crazy idea of what if I just quit this and I just do my graphic design from home and just keep doing what I'm doing. But I still at that time didn't imagine like I'm going to own a sign company. I just was like, I'm going to do graphic design and see what else I can do. And So I quit my job making, I was making pretty decent money, but the happiness factor is a big thing for me. Like, I would rather love what I'm doing and make less than, make a whole bunch of money and just hate going to work every day.
Right.
And so then I just hustled. I hustled for 2-3 years. I was a karaoke DJ. I did accounting.
That's awesome.
I did all kinds of stuff to just make little money and, sold makeup or did whatever I could at the time while I was building up my business.
Mm-hmm.
And about 2 years of that is when I got an offer for where my building is now, that they had a little area opening up. And so they said, we got this office available.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm thinking, like, oh my gosh, am I really going to like branch out?
Here's a jump.
And I did it. And I had this tiny, tiny little office. And
at the time, it's just you.
Just me.
Okay.
Just wanted a little space so that I could get a landline and whatever, and have a place to kind of hang out during the day. And it just completely blew up from there. Like, old customers started finding out that I was doing my own thing. And it even, I didn't have a printer or anything, but I got a call from Pepsi, and the woman that was working at Pepsi, her and I had a really good relationship from all the years. And she was like, Courtney, I want you to start doing everything. I want you to print everything. Can you price out if you wrap this whole car, yourself? And so I did. So I took the plunge, and I went, and I had to get the big loan from the bank, and it was all really, really super scary, because I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. But
get a loan to get a printer and stuff like that?
To get like the printer so that I could do everything in house. Because when I first when I first started my thing, I would have to call somebody. I had a guy down in Kansas that I knew that owned a sign company, so I'd have to order it and get it shipped. And it was just so crazy. So once I finally got the printer, it really made a big difference. And that's kind of where I knew, like, okay, here we go. Like, this is going to be. And so that was a good 10 years ago when, probably at least, maybe even 12 years ago, when I got that first printer in my own location.
Nice.
And then it's just kind of gone crazy since then.
It's just grown from there. You're still in the same spot, just take up more space. Still in the same spot.
I own the building now, so I kind of went from one little office to the medium office to the big office to, ending up just buying the building, because it was just it was actually, cheaper to like own the whole building than it was to like pay the rent. So so that's where we're at now, is
that's awesome.
Having the whole building. And
So when did you hire your first employee?
It was probably 2 years into being on my own when I had to get somebody in there, like, just to help a little bit and, take some orders and help me with design. And, and I used to have to, like, close the whole shop. If I had an install or something that I had to go do somewhere, I would have to, like, shut the whole shop down and go and do it and stuff. And so it kind of started with one designer. Then we had another person come on after a couple of years. So it's just kind of, with still staying a small business, it's just really progressed, like, more than I could have ever dreamed. If I would have like said, 20 years from now I'm gonna be doing this, I don't think I would have 20 years ago been like, I'm gonna have a wrap company. But I love it. It's super fun. We love what we do.
Do you do graphic design still, or is it mostly just vehicle wraps and stuff like that?
We do everything from, like, if someone just needs a design for something, we do that for a handful of clients. We also do business cards, brochures, flyers, door hangers, that sort of stuff. Then the sign company is, like, another big part. The signs, banners, all the yard signs, and that sort of stuff. And then we get into the vehicle graphics, which is the majority of what we do now. It kind of used to be 60% signs, 40% vehicles. Now we're probably like 80% vehicles, and then everything else fills that little 20%, which is cool, because I'm glad that I've built myself up to kind of having that household name, of a lot of people. A lot of new companies may have not heard from me, but a lot, most of the radio stations and the big companies around Madison have worked with us in one way or another. And
that's awesome.
Got a lot of good relationships and met really good people over the years. And
nice.
A lot of fun.
So growing over the course of the 20 years, what was, like, I guess, what's been your secret from a marketing standpoint? Has it just been word of mouth, or have you done any publicity? Or
I've done print and radio and TV and kind of a little bit of everything. But I would say 95% word of mouth.
Okay.
You know, if we run a TV ad, we might get a couple people that hit us up and say,
sure.
you know, saw the TV ad and stuff like that. But even so, even if they see a video or they see an ad and they call us, they still have that, like, you know, still need to make a decision kind of a thing where,
sure.
you know, if you get that, like, I had a guy call the other day and he said he got referred by somebody, and then I was like, well, I'll send you this and I'll get the quote, and he was like, I don't even want a quote. If my sister told me you're the one, then that's
nice.
it. And so I was like, oh, well, that's cool. You know, which of course, you know, we're going to show him the price so we don't, like,
right.
you know, he's $1 million. Yeah, so he said, you trusted me.
We're good.
But it was cool to hear somebody say, like, oh, if this person referred me to you,
sure.
then I know that this is the place where I want to go, and
right.
and that meant a lot, you know, to me, to be like, oh, well, that's cool that somebody was like, no, you have to go to this place, and
yeah,
and that's where the majority. One of my favorite referral stories was when I was sitting in my little tiny office, and I still didn't have employees at the time. I just had an installer that I would bring in here and there, and I'm just sitting there having a normal day, and a guy comes, and you had to walk through like 4 doors to get to my. So you go through the front door, then the next door, then like just go
sure.
4 doors back to the back
closet,
back, and that's right. Courtney's room. And this guy comes in, and I'm like, hi sir, how can I help you? And he's like, oh, hi, my name's Dave Gary. I own the Princeton Club. And I was like, and I stood right up, and, you know, I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, oh, nice to meet you. You know, anything I can do for you. And it was just so cool, because to me, I was like, oh, that's like a big, you know,
right.
person around
big company,
here.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I said, well, how did you hear of me? Like, how did you end up here? And it ended up where he was at one of the local radio stations doing, talking about radio stuff, and the owner of Quaker Steak and Lube happened to be there the same day.
Sure.
And he had a van that was wrapped by us. And
nice.
So then the owner of Princeton Club, then he says, oh, where'd you get your van wrapped? And then
sure.
he said, well, you need to call Monarch. And so it was really cool, because that was like, you know, a good customer of mine, like talking to another business owner, like, hey, this is where you
sure.
gotta get your stuff. And
that's awesome.
I felt like so cool. I was like, oh my God. I remember telling somebody that night, like, oh, the owner of Princeton Club came in and to my little office, and man,
sure.
I just wish my office was 5 times bigger when he came. But he didn't care, you know, like, he knew that if he was being referred
right?
for quality business, that to him, even though they own all these Princeton Clubs and everything, that you know, it's about that personal relationship.
Right.
And people, like, I just believe in business. It's all about your vibe. Like, there's no such thing as competition. You could have McDonald's and Burger King across the street from each other, and they're still going to be really busy, because it's just all about, like, what people are hungry for. And that's the same with business too, you know, that they might look at my website, and some people might be like, oh, look at this rainbow, you know, rainbowy colorful website, I think it's really cool. And some people might be like, this looks too rainbowy, and maybe they don't, you know.
Too many rainbows, I'm out.
I am not calling this rainbow place. And so, you know, like, I just trust that the customers that are meant to come, that are
sure.
like, have like that energy, that are going to be attracted to us, are going to be attracted to us. And some people might be attracted to the place up the street, and that's
sure.
okay, because, you know, like, we know there has to be different companies doing the same thing so that we can all keep up with the demand and everything. Yeah. And so, you know, I just have that trust factor, which
sure.
I've always had throughout the years, like, that even if I don't do any advertising, that, you know, if my business is meant to succeed, and if I put all my heart and soul into it, then it's going to just naturally
sure.
unfold like that.
All right.
You know,
all right. Yeah, I always joke that I do more marketing for you guys with my truck that's all lettered up than I do for calls on call, because people always ask, where did you get it done?
Where did you get that
Not
truck?
like, hey, I should call you guys to answer my phone.
Yeah.
Like, oh, by the way.
Oh, you're like, oh, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, what are you doing?
So it's interesting, because that's always where the conversation, I shouldn't even say leads, because it's like the first question out of people's mouth.
Like, where'd you get it
done? But man, so many people compliment me on it.
That's awesome.
Just random people. You'll be getting gas. And people say, like, that's sweet rap. Where'd you get it done?
I've got jobs from getting gas before too. Even
sure.
when I was first starting, I had my wrapped car, and I went in, and some guy was getting gas. He's like, oh, hey, does your car do that? And we met at the gas station and got his business card. We ended
awesome.
up, lettering up his car. And
sure.
So, yeah, you never know where you're going to, like,
that's pretty cool.
Bump into somebody that'll be like, hey, I've been thinking about getting my
right.
car wrapped or something. And I really liked how yours turned out, because we used that new green material that we have. That's a new color, that gloss green envy, that 3M stuff, and man, that stuff looks cool. You just can't hit those colors with the print.
Right.
So
I want to ask you about your first employee, because it sounds like they were going to be doing a lot of stuff. And so some business owners that I've run into, just that first employees, one, it's a big leap because a new employee, right? New employee for you, for them.
Yep.
The whole HR stuff, the whole, I got to be your boss now. Now all of a sudden I'm the man.
Yeah.
Right? And you started your business not to have to deal with the man kind of thing.
And now I'm the man.
Now you are the man, right? And then you have to find someone that's pretty diverse in their skill set. So how did you find that person?
The first employee that I had was actually a friend of mine that had previously worked. I had got them a job at the previous sign company right when they got out of design school, because we went to high school together. So I was like, why don't you, come work with me for a little bit? And, in the beginning it is really hard because, it's like that fine line in between, like you're just getting somebody and you don't even know what's payroll, what's this, what's that, So in the beginning they had like really limited hours and I just couldn't really do a lot. And they, with being my friend and they just needed something, they did they would work overtime helping me without me even being able to pay. Because, like both of us were just kind of hustling to just get it off the ground. And because that's the big step when you finally are like, okay, well, now we got to do payroll and payroll taxes and this and that. That's when I had to get like an accountant or something too, because it's just too much when I was trying to do all my own stuff and pay the bills and try to figure out this and run the jobs and everything. That just getting somebody that could handle my books, that I could just dump everything and have them figure out and make sure everything got paid on time, that made a big difference.
Right.
So having that first person was really helpful, and you got to learn how. I mean, even though I have that leader personality, when you have a friend that's like your employee, you don't want to sound. You want to be like, hey, if you don't mind, could you do this? Because it's hard because you don't want to be that like, look, I told you to do this and you better do it. And
thin red line.
So my sister works with me now, so that's really interesting.
Wow. How long has she been with you?
Probably 7 or 8
Holy
years.
Cow.
She's been working.
That's long for any employee, so you must be doing something right.
Well, I only fire her every couple of months and rehire the next day.
Nice.
We definitely were like those best friend sisters that like will get in like the worst fight ever, and then like 5 minutes later be like, so what do you want to do for lunch? All right, I'll go get it. Nice. So people just know. But I love having my sister. It just makes a fun dynamic for us too, and she answers the phone and stuff over there. So anybody that calls it'll be like, oh, you're the one Courtney was talking about, the sister.
You're the sister.
The sister. So.
Funny. So how many employees do you have now?
Right now, I've got 3.
Okay.
So, and then me would be like the 4th person.
Sure.
So we've built ourselves up to having a lot of people, down to a little people, down to a lot. And, it's a lot of trial and error because we've had like up to like 10 people. But the problem is that we realize is that 4 really good people can get just as much work done as
probably more.
10 people where 6 of them are costing you money, making mistakes, not listening, and things like that too, where we did have a lot of people at once, and it was too much. I get it if we have a certain workload, but there's a lot of personnel. It's hard to hire people. Especially now because we hire some. It just depends because like a 21-year-old now doesn't, not to say all of them, not to make stereotypes or anything, but a lot of them don't have that same work ethic and mentality that we had when we were 21 because our parents lived a certain way, their parents lived a certain way, but we're still like that generation that like learned like work hard to get what you want. And the kids nowadays are just so like need it now, immediate gratification, and instead of like realizing that you got to work your way up, and like we've even put ads out where we're looking for people, and we'll put a certain hour, where it'll basically be like no experience necessary, we just need a shop worker, here's our starting rate, and we'll get responses from people that are just going off about, I can't believe you had started at that rate. And I'm like, well, I'm not hiring. If I'm hiring a designer, but I could hire a 16-year-old for the position that I need. I just need
skill set required. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no skills like, and But it's like the people that'll say something to us are those people that just want more for doing less, and they want, they want no experience to be hired on, like you've been doing it for 20 years.
CEO, come on up.
Yeah, like, come on. I mean,
my 6-year-old son, I forget what I asked him to do. Maybe feed the dog in the morning or something like that. And he said that's not my job, because his job is to feed the dog in the evening. And that was like nails on a chalkboard. I was just like, what did you say?
That's not my job.
That's not my job. It's like, no, you do not say that's not your job, because
these kids are too smart. My 4-year-old too. She told me, I said, Harmony, carry this in from the car, and she said, Mom, I only have 2 hands. Last week, and like, well, that's my little bossy babe
I'm
right
just
there.
like, oh my gosh, whose parent is yours?
Yeah, who is your parent? Like, who's teaching you to be independent and think for yourself?
Yeah.
And, who's doing all
Not
that?
my job. Oh, that kid.
But that's how, like, a lot of these kids are like, like we learned
Right.
when our generation is like, whatever we got to do for our job. That's what it is.
Yes.
Whereas we get the certain people that are just like, what? I thought I only had to do this, or they kind of would rather be playing on their phones or doing whatever, or taking an hour to check one email. And
not putting any thought into actually what else could be done, right? The whole
And
you got time to lean, you got time to clean kind of thing.
Yeah, yes, that's
do
exactly.
something,
anything.
We don't pay you to daydream.
Our group right now is a really core group of like us 4 that everybody just really has each other's backs.
Sure.
And, we help each other do everything, and nothing is like all on one person. Somebody might answer the phone and take the order, and somebody else is prepping it, and someone else is designing it, and someone else is installing it, and so we're all kind of hands-on with each job, making sure that everybody's happy and that we don't miss anything. And of course nobody's perfect, so we mess up stuff every day happens, like everybody else does. So
that's the name of the game, right?
Yeah, definitely with the small business, of just like, okay, well, if I mess up, especially as the owner, and like it's out of my pocket, so.
I heard the definition of an entrepreneur is someone that can afford their mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, hey, I've printed stuff wrong and done this and done that and wasted material and everything, and but it happens, and we just bust our butt to make sure, like, you would never know if we ordered the wrong green or we did something, because we wouldn't like panic the customer about it or something.
Just solve the problem.
Just figure it out.
Yeah. I just sent an email to my clients today about this whole coronavirus thing, saying that all you need to know is that your phones will be taken care of. Yeah. Or whatever other communication we take care of, your email, all that kind of stuff.
No, we got it. Yeah.
But just like whatever we have to do on our end to make it work, we'll just make it work. Like from your point of view, it's working. That's all you got to know.
Well, we put up signs all over the bathrooms and all that. wash your hands, like everywhere. And then on the front door, we also were like, we take it seriously, people's health. And, if you're coughing, don't come in here, and we'll make, and I've got my trusty sister at the front. I'm like, wipe down every door handle and every counter every morning. And, just making sure that we're protecting ourselves, but we're not going to get into the panic mentality.
No.
It's just, and people still want their cars. Right? We had 2 trucks dropped off this morning. So
business has got to go on.
And we're a small, group of people. There's not going to be more than the 50 people. I mean, we maybe have 10 to 15 people, because there is another business in our building, and maybe at the same time. But we're just encouraging people to not do so much of the walk-in stuff right now. Don't bring babies. Like, we do those cranial band wraps for the kids that get have you seen the kids that kind of have those helmets that they wear when they get the flattened heads and stuff like that? And we have a program that's called Kid Wraps program. It has a separate website, kidwraps.org, but most of what we do is for free, because these people, the kids are born either nowadays that they have babies lay on the back of their, like on their backs instead of their sides. Like, kids are getting the flat back of their heads, as well as some kids are born with birth trauma where, like, during the birth their head was misshaped somehow. And so they get these cranial bands, and we've been doing it for about 10 years, where we offer it free if people are in need. Otherwise, some people will put money down, and we wrap these bands. So, like, in whatever style the parents want, and so we do a lot of those through, like, that Kid Wraps program. But, like, right now, normally they would come in with the kid, drop off the band, leave it for a couple hours, come back, and we take video of them putting it back on the baby. And just right now, we're like telling parents, like, don't bring the child
Sure.
here, especially these babies under a year, keep them at home. If you want to do the band this month, just bring it, drop it off, and
Sure.
we'll make sure that we clean everything, and then they just come back and get it without the kids. Just so, just in case with babies and stuff, there's no reason to get people out of the house. And
Right.
so that's kind of that's my give back. That's my way to just kind of give back to people in a fun
Sure.
way. And
Okay. That
help
sounds
out
cool.
kids.
Yeah. That sounds very cool. As long as just take care of the customer, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the name of the game.
Yeah.
So what have you seen change over the course of 20 years in the industry? There's got to be a ton.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like, even when people get pricing for wraps nowadays and they're like, oh, that seems kind of high, I'll be like, well, you should have got it priced out 20 years ago because
Sure.
it would have been double. So whereas in some industries, the price goes up over time. Basically, there was a big boom in the wrap industry where, like, so many people were trying to get into it.
Yeah,
that pricing
competition
just just went way down. Now it's on the rise back up because 3M loves to, boost up their
Sure.
3 to 5% every year. Basically, our materials go up.
Sure.
Pretty steady, so it's starting to get back up. But I mean, wraps are nowhere near, like, something that might be $3,500 now would have been like $5,000 to $6,000.
Wow, that
20
big of a
years
difference.
ago. Yeah, so the pricing has gone down though, but the materials go up.
Sure.
So there's not as big of a profit margin as there would have been 20 years ago.
Sure.
But there's a lot of little pop-up wrap shops and vehicle shops and people kind of trying to get into the business. So there's cooler materials now. We can do those color change wraps now, which they didn't used to have even 10 years ago.
Sure.
You wouldn't, like, you'd have to basically print a car to get it, like, fully wrapped.
Oh,
And
sure.
like how your truck was that green, that super cool green. They didn't even have a lot of those available a while
gotcha.
back. So
Okay.
that's really a big thing now is the color changes, and people
Sure.
are really skipping the paint thing.
Okay.
And they're doing those color change wraps. But all in all, I mean, Monarch is like the longest standing, like, full service vehicle shop that there is around here, period. I mean, there's a lot of shops that have come up, but they haven't been, it's a lot of like 5 to 6 year old companies.
Sure.
There's maybe one other big company here in Madison that's been around for a long time, but still you won't find anybody around here that's been hands-on as I have, throughout the years. And it's primarily male dominated industry. Just with everything I ended up being the woman sign shop
The
owner,
lone woman.
the Lone Ranger. But yeah, so I mean, it's just a lot of, like, keeping up with all the different stuff. And
Sure.
but we only use 3M material, so we don't keep up with what flashy colors other brands and stuff are making, because we trust 3M with everything. And we've always had good quality and just products coming out from them, and they will cover their butt if something is wrong, which I've never had it happen, where we had to, like, where they had, like, a big failure with the material, but if it does, they have the best warranties and stuff too. So we make sure, we're not going to be the cheapest, because we won't use cheap stuff. So if someone's like, well, but if I order this and that, can you do it? And we just won't do it, because I'm not going to, like, install cheap vinyl on something, even if they went and bought it themselves.
People will do that?
Yeah, they want to. Yeah. And so if they go, they'll say, oh, well, we want to buy, it's just called vinyl, like there's no brand name or something. Oh, we want to just buy
I
this.
saw it on Alibaba. It must
And
be
I'm
good
like,
stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me just get that shipped right over. I'm like, don't check your packet. What are they? It's the air and the joke was about the air and the, like, packing stuff. But yeah. So, like, we won't do any of that. We use only high quality stuff. So, sometimes we lose people because they want really, really cheap, but they're the same people that'll come back a year later and be like, it's peeling off, and then we'll be like, well, we told you we were gonna peel off because it's crappy. But then they'll end up coming back, But then if they were gonna tell their friends, they're not gonna say my stuff is falling off because I bought it cheap online. They're gonna say, well, I got it done at Monarch and it's coming off. So that's important to us to only use top brand stuff, like period, because then we know that if something goes wrong, it's got to be it's the material or something that is failing.
It's your reputation on the line.
Yes.
Have printers come a distance in 20 years? I imagine so.
The printers get more complex and bigger and badder, but they stay like right around the same price. Like,
oh really? Well,
like
they can do more.
So
That's good.
it's kind of like the prices. It seems like it would be going down almost, because if you're getting a bigger, better printer for the same price as what I bought my first one, because we have 3 of them now. So I got one.
Wow, that's cool.
That's probably 10 years ago, then 7 years ago, and then I think 4 years ago.
Okay.
So we have 3 different machines that we use for different stuff. One of them uses like a lot of extra ink colors, where like normal printer might have cyan, magenta, yellow, black.
Sure.
Our big printer also has light black, light yellow, and I think light cyan or something, because it helps to just hit those skin tones, and really good like deep blues and reds and stuff require like, so that printer would be for the wraps and the color matching stuff, and then our other printers we run banners on one and a little bit of everything on the other. So, but the printers get better, because back in the day the inks were so toxic.
Oh, really?
So when I would do printing 20 years ago, the ink smelled so bad, you'd have to keep going outside and you'd have to ventilate and have like a big ventilator. It was so stinky. It was major, because it's solvent. It's all solvent based, and it was just so smelly. And you can't use water-based inks, because
just wash off in the
it'll
car
wash it out. Yeah. So
the rain or whatever. Sure.
So you have to use solvent, and so now the printers nowadays they don't smell unless if we have all 3 printers going like in the middle of summer and there's humidity and they're printing like really solid reds and blues and there's a lot of ink going down, then it'll stink a little, and we'll put like an essential oil diffuser or something in there to like just get the chemicals out of the air and just keep it smelling okay. But it's nothing like back in the day. They were just so smelly, and there was so much more that went into cleaning them and everything, where the printers nowadays are really easy to manage compared to what I was used to when I was just a little young buck, and my boss was like, figure out how to use a printer, so now I'm like, oh, this is like nothing. I always tell the story, back in my day the ink used to smell so bad.
Sure. That's funny. So the printers, that's funny. That's interesting that you say that, because I had the printer repair company forever ago. I remember ink stinking, but I never remember being so bad that I had to step out. But we didn't really work on machines that were that big.
Yeah, and it's just laying down really thick layers of ink too, and especially when you get into like burgundy and dark blues and things, they're using all colors. Like if you're just printing something that's just yellow, it might just be laying down yellow, but if you're printing like a dark burgundy, it's going to have yellow, it's going to have the red or the magenta, it's going to have the black, and a little bit of, you wouldn't think like, oh, it's burgundy, there must not be any like cyan, but there, most colors are made up of all the different colors. So it's just like those dark ones lay so much ink that it's just, you smell it once it dries, then you don't smell it. But as it's printing, it can get a little smelly. But we have the one separate room that closes off that kind of keeps it contained in there, and we have a little window we open if we need to. Sure. So, but back in the day, I would get severe headaches if I was in the printer room for a long time, and you'd have to go out and take some deep breaths.
That's fair. I do remember going to places, print shops and stuff like that, where you're working on a plotter, and you'd set your tool down on just a table or something like that, and you grab it, and you could see your fingerprints, because there must be just aerosol ink everywhere. Yep. And my first thought when I saw that was, people are breathing this. Yeah. Every day. Yeah. We're just like, I just noticed it because I was probably the first one to touch that table in 3 years. Like no one.
And you don't even realize, that like
that's just in the air, right? You're just breathing that solvent in there all day. Like, oh, we don't have to hang out here. Let's just fix this machine and get out of here. The worst part was you got to clean up where you left your fingerprints, right? Yeah. On that table. And now, like, you made a clean spot. So now you got to clean the whole thing. And you're like I can't stop. Like, eventually you have to kind of draw a line and be like, okay, I'm not going to clean your walls and stuff like that. But you want to make it nice, right? Leave it better than you found it, kind of like the whole camping thing, right? But
yeah.
There's so many places that I don't think they realized that they had this just sticky film on everything.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's like back in the day when people moved out from when you could smoke in your house, and
sure.
then people move out and move like a painting, and it's all like white
yellow.
behind there.
This wall used to be white.
They're like, oh yeah, I guess I didn't realize it was like gold and yellow, after all these years.
That's funny. So you, no business owner goes in alone, right? Mm-hmm. So you talked about an accountant to help you out. Mm-hmm. What are some of the other businesses or services that you used just kind of help you out? Do you have a bookkeeper?
Yep, my accountant is kind of the same.
Okay.
She does a little bit of everything.
Okay.
And then I do have an actual company that does like my taxes, which is separate than that.
Sure.
We work with our normal like sign vendors.
Sure.
We have, I'm trying to think of who, but I mean, mainly with us, we have like small companies that we work with that provide like our toilet paper and paper towel and stuff. We like to work with other small businesses and stuff. Then we just have a handful of suppliers that we work with that we switch between that just give us the stuff that we need. And
nice.
Basically it's like me. Then I've got a production manager. We've got an installer. We've got the front desk, and then the accountant she does everything. I mean, just entering in all our stuff, entering in the money, paying the bills, and all the stuff that I got really behind on when it was time. I mean, because I would have like a bunch of money in the bank, but I just couldn't keep up because I'm doing emails and designs.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh yeah, I got to send that check out and send this check out.
Right.
That was probably the biggest relief, was having somebody that just can tell me like, okay, if stuff's bad, let me know way ahead of time. And then I don't have to worry about it. I can just see reports and whatever, just for our breakdown and how stuff going, and making sure everything's good. And she helps me stay in line.
How did you find her? Because that's gonna be a tougher.
The other company that's in our business is actually that in our building that rents from me is actually my father's business, is like a refrigeration company. And so she does a lot of she is full time there. And then we just have her part time helping us do our stuff. She does a lot more for them. I mean, for that company, she's like their main front person that just does everything. And then because she's right there in the building, she helps us take care of our stuff and take away the debit card and stuff from me and all that all that
Stop
important
spending
stuff.
Money.
She's like, no debit card, and that really helped too. Like, and I do that personally as well, as buying a lot of things on a credit card and paying the full like amount off every month. Yeah, because
it's a must.
When I was first starting with her, I would like just go withdraw money. Like, I might go take $200 out of the ATM or something, then she'd be like, Courtney,
out of your business?
Like, well, in a way, in the beginning, I just had one bank account. So eventually I did, this was probably, let's see, when did she start helping me? Maybe 12, 13 years ago or something. So, like, I just had, like, the one account. I mean, because I was just learning. Like, I wasn't an LLC yet or anything. And then, then I became the LLC. Sure. To start doing the sales tax. Because all that was like, oh, my gosh, I got to pay quarterly sales tax. Like, what is all this stuff? And so that's when, like, I became, like, the official LLC. And then I got a personal bank account, and then so that original account that I always had, like, they turned into the business account and everything, and that's where kind of everything stayed. And she took care of that.
Took it from there.
So Courtney is not allowed to, which I don't anyway. I'm not like a big spender, I just want to make sure my employees are good, and then I'm good, and then I have things that make me happy, and to me, and like I don't need to just be reckless with my account.
No retail therapy or anything.
She's like, just use the credit card and then we'll pay everything. And then that way you can just always see where you are, and you don't have that, like, the old debit card screw ups where I could have swore I had such and such amount.
The receipt I got from the bank said I still had money.
I called, I
still have checks.
Yep.
That's funny. So before we go, I guess we don't have a ton of time left, but you've lettered up, or wrapped, I should say, a lot of vehicles. So, just for the people that are not local,
Yep.
right? The people outside of the world that would not be bringing their vehicles to you for you to figure out. There's probably some design elements that you've learned that just work.
Yes.
Work better than some other stuff. So, can you give us some tips and tricks and stuff like that for figuring out what to wrap your vehicle with?
Sure. And I even have an article on my website that I had written last year too about kind of like the top 7 things that you would want to have like on your vehicle wrap.
Perfect.
And because sometimes people might have somebody design it that's not paying attention to the actual vehicle. So some companies, or like, you know, if you're like, oh, my little nephew's the designer, so I'm going to have him design my truck wrap. And what they do is they might go find an outline, or they might find a picture or something, but then they design it really super small, and then when you go to like put it on we're like, sorry, we can't put it on the wrap because you didn't like design it in the right sizes and stuff.
Yeah, it's got to be huge on a wrap.
Yeah, so there's certain
pixels.
scales and there's certain stuff, and so we just we always tell people to, first off, if you're going to have your own designer do it, make sure that the designer, number one, calls us first before they do anything. Call us and say, hey, I'm working on this design. Can you measure the car? Can you help me figure out a template? And we can do all that ahead of time.
All right.
And then we just help based on, everybody's needs are different. So some people want their phone number blasted all over the truck. Some people don't want a number. They just want a website.
Sure.
I've had people come in.
We don't want to talk to those people.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about it. And some people come in and they don't even realize they should have a call to action. And you're like, well, it's great if you have, if your vehicle's on there, but if it doesn't, the main things that you want on your vehicle. Who are you? What do you do? And how do you find you?
Right.
And if you can have those 3 things on there, then and it's clear as to what you do. I mean, it's like, well, you could put a big picture on a frog up there, but nobody's gonna know you're like a frog catcher unless you put, James the frog catcher.
James the frog catcher. Call today.
Call today. 1-800 1-800-FROGS or whatever. But so that's always really important. It wouldn't do any good for you to spend $5,000 on a wrap and then nobody knows who you are, or it's unclear. And I've seen vehicles like that where you're driving by like, what in the heck does that person do? It should be very clear what you do. And very clear how to get a hold of you. And it doesn't always have to be phone and website. Some people don't want the phone call when you're driving down the road like, hey, you just cut me off.
Oh, we could solve that.
Just go to the website. Go to the website and email me if I cut you off. But
while you're driving.
But, so each place is going to be different. And we just work with that person like, why do you need to do this? What do you need? What's your demographic? Who are you trying to, where is it really most helpful for them to go? If it's not helpful for them to go call you on the phone, and the best way is for them to go to your web. Like for what we do, the best thing is for them to go to our website, because then they're going to see our gallery. They're going to read about us. They're going to see all that. And so like, I want people to go to the website because, if they call, most of the time we're like, have you checked out the website? And then they're like, oh no, I guess I should check out your website.
That sounds like the last few people I interviewed.
Yeah. Or you're like, what? Go to the
Yeah, for a job. And I was like, did you check out the website? Do you know what this job is about?
And they're like, what? We don't even know what you do. Yeah. Which that would have been the first thing we did years ago, would be like, let's go look and see what the company does so we can go in there and be like, oh, I saw that you did this. And because then, if somebody comes in like, I saw that thing that you wrapped last year, I'll be like, you're hired.
Yeah. They have some background knowledge. They did some homework, even if it was 30 seconds worth.
So, I mean, main thing, just people don't need to feel like they have to do a full wrap. I mean, full wraps are super awesome and they're super cool, but I think it intimidates some people where they think like, oh, they only do full wraps. And it's like, no, if you just need some little magnets or something on your car too, we can do that all the way up to, and I wouldn't recommend if someone was only going to have a car for a year, I'd be like, don't wrap it. If you're getting a new car in a year, wrap that one.
Sure.
And just for now, do something so that you can go ahead and you can wrap your vehicle so that, to make it most cost effective. And that's important. We have people just throw numbers out like, I don't want to spend more than $500. And we're like, all right, well, let's figure out what we can do for that. And
let me get these address labels for you.
Figure out, oh, I got this one little sticker.
If you won't invest in your business, who will, right? Do you have a favorite wrap that you've done? I mean, besides ours?
Ooh, I would say, my favorite wrap. It's like asking me what's my favorite flavor ice cream or something. I'm like, well, there's double fudge chunk and there's peanut butter.
One that you stepped away from it and you're like, oh, we're good. We are so good.
I think my favorite wrap I've ever done is the UW football semi.
Okay. I didn't even know they had a semi.
Yep, the big Badger semi that goes to all the games and everything that they load up. We did that a couple years ago, and I think just as I wouldn't say it was like the coolest design we've ever did, but for me, like, if you could have just seen me the day like floating on air, I'm like, oh, Badgers. I'm just a Wisconsin Badger fan, period, like, anyway. And so to me, I think that was like one of the coolest, because I was really excited to be able to have like done that job. But like my favorite designs, a lot of my favorite designs were ones that I did way long time ago for Pepsi, because they had me do really outside the box. Like I had one that I think, if I was going to pick one, I would say it would be the Hulk Hummer that I did years ago, where she wanted it to look like Hulk was like busting through a brick wall out of the side of the car with like a can of Mountain Dew in his hand. And, and I really had to go deep into my design skills to like get that one to work, and I always thought that one was like really super cool.
That's awesome.
A lot of cool. We've wrapped thousands of vehicles, so I can definitely say there's nobody around here that has done more vehicle graphics than we have in this city or in surroundings. So I'm proud to say that we've just worked with so many business owners and people like you, and you know, and you're pretty cool, I guess.
I like to think so, right? It's probably just because they get cool people on the radio.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
You know, and that cool truck you drive around, everybody.
Yeah, it's interesting. I told people if I'm going to drive a truck that gets terrible mileage, I might as well be advertising.
You know,
So that's the thing. Yeah. But I get I want to say, dare I say, daily compliments on that thing. And yeah, like I said, first question.
I just sent it into where we're certified. They're putting out they're redoing their website. They said, send us a bunch of pictures of cool vehicles you've done lately that they're hopefully going to put up on their site and stuff. So your truck was one of the first, because that's such a new material that I was like, check out this truck we wrapped in the gloss green MB, and it turned out super cool. So we were really excited about how that turned out.
You guys did good work. So for someone that was considering starting a business, let's say regardless of what type, right? What is some of the advice that you would give, stuff that you've learned over the course of 20 years?
Well, especially with a new business, I would say figure out what your realistic budget is in the beginning for advertising, and it's not a one-size-fits-all thing, and that's kind of where we can help, because, like, if someone's just starting, I wouldn't say, well, get 100 signs and get 5,000 business cards and get this and that. You know, I would say, what realistically can you spend? Well, I've got $1,000 budget, and here's what I do. You know, and I might say, okay, well, let's get you some business cards. Let's get you. We can help with logo design too. I mean, for a lot of times, if they're doing a bunch of stuff with us, we won't even charge them to do the logo, because you're doing your car and your business cards. Right. But I would say, you know, start off where you can get more items for less amount. So instead of getting 100 signs, you know, start off with maybe 50 signs and 1,000 business cards. And maybe some little stickers on your car. You know, start yourself off in a realistic way, so that you're not like, you know, if you only have a $3,000 budget, don't spend all $3,000 on one truck wrap, and then you can't get your business cards or something, but my truck looks cool, but then they're like, how old are you? Like, I gotta order those business cards. So, you know, start with the basics first, and then work your way up. You can always add more to your car, but you can't come back and say, dang it, I shouldn't have spent this much. Can you rip this off and give me $1,000 back?
I need a refund on the wrap.
Because I can't do it. So you know, and just starting off little by little, and you can always get bigger and bigger, and so we can help people figure out, you know, let's just make you 10-yard signs, and get you some business cards, and get you some flyers, and, you know, and do some vehicle stuff, and then phase 2 will be this, and this, and you know, whatever. Because if you go too gung-ho and you spend all the money you have on all this fancy stuff, I gotta get pens and I gotta get all this, and it's like, well, make your first sale first. You know, nobody's gonna notice you're signing the contract with a cheap pen. You know. But don't go spend $300 on pens if you you know, you're still just really starting. You know, just be smart about it, and just and you know, come to a company like us, and we can help you figure out how to kind of put your package together, and then in regard, like, just to beyond ordering things and stuff when you have a new business. I mean, I would say the number one business advice in general I could give to people is to, like, have faith in yourself and have faith in what you're doing, because if you don't, then nobody else is going to, and nobody else
True
is going to
words.
pick you up when you're, when you fall down, and
Right.
you have to have that faith like in yourself, and however people are religiously, but the faith in God, the faith in the universe that things are going to work out.
Sure.
And to just keep going, because there's going to be really hard times. Like, it hasn't just been sunshine and lollipops for me for 20 years.
Not rainbows, huh?
A little rainbowy, but
bigger or
it's got to
smaller,
rain
right?
to be a rainbow, and
Sure.
and so there's been a lot of hard times. I've lost employees, I've gained employees,
Sure.
I've had people take advantage of me, I've been robbed, I've been lied to, I've had everything happen as a business owner, and I just keep pressing on, and you just don't
Sure.
give up, because if you give up, then you're definitely gonna fail.
Right.
But if you keep going, then it's just only a possibility. And guess what? You might just succeed too.
Right. You just might succeed.
You just might do something good if
I
you
love
just
it.
keep trying. So.
Awesome. Courtney, thanks for being with me on the show. This has been super cool.
Yeah, thank you, James. I really appreciate it.
It's good times. This has been Authentic Business Adventures, a business program that brings you the struggle stories and triumphant successes of business owners across the land. You said you got robbed. I feel like we got to tell that story. That'll be for another time. Coming to you from the Sun Prairie Community Studios, underwritten by Bank of Sun Prairie. I just am picturing this person coming to stick up a person with wrapping a car. Like, give me all your money. Like,
Give me all your money.
they paid with credit card. You want a slip or what? Anyways, I digress.
Just have me back on in a couple months, and we'll talk all that good stuff.
Oh, that's funny. If you're listening to this on the web, please like, subscribe, and share just because you're awesome. My name is James Cademan, and Authentic Business Adventures is brought to you by Calls on Call, offering call answering and receptionist services for small businesses across the country, on the web at callsoncall.com, as well as Draw In Customers Business Coaching, offering business coaching services for entrepreneurs in all stages of their business, on the web at drawincustomers.com. And of course, the Bold Business Book, a book for the entrepreneur and all of us, available on Amazon and wherever fine books are sold. We'd like to thank you, our wonderful listeners, as well as our wonderful guest, Courtney Dane, owner of Monarch Media Designs. Courtney, what is the website?
monarchworld.com.
monarchworld.com. That is awesome. Well played. Find us airing on 103.5 Wednesdays at 1 p.m., Sundays at 2 p.m., as well as at sunprairiemediacenter.com. Holy cow, it's a lot of talking. Past episodes can be found morning, noon, and night at the podcast link, found at drawincustomers.com. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week. I want you to stay awesome. And if you do nothing else, enjoy your business.